Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Eternal Midnight. I'm Santino,
I'm Erica.
And this is Chad.
and we're here with a very special episode. One of my favorite sci-fi movies ever, Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. So we're gonna go with the original first, Blade Runner. Erica, you saw it first for the very first time. What do you think of it?
I loved it. It was really strange because I started it and I was like, this is really weird. And it was one of those movies where while you're watching it, you're like, this is so strange. But then after you're like, that was so good. It was so unique and it was very strange, but that's what made it good, if that makes sense. And
Yeah.
I love Harrison Ford. It's always good to see him and stuff. And yeah, those are my initial thoughts on Blade Runner.
How about you, Chad? Your initial thoughts on the first Blade Runner?
I think the first Blade Runner is amazing. I think for a movie that came out, I believe it was 81 or 82, I think it looks fantastic. It just looked incredible for like an 82 portraying 2019. Like that opening shot of it, them flying towards the city with the refineries spewing fire into the sky and the giant city skyline, the giant Terrell Corporation building. That just like and that awesome music playing over it just set the tone perfectly for that we were getting into a science fiction story. And then just the story itself, I think kind of like you said, Erica, the very first time I saw it, I kind of was taken out of it a little bit because I was just like, this isn't that exciting. But it's one of those movies upon repeated viewings. I'm just thoroughly invested in watching Decker hunt down these four robots, androids, and watching the struggles that they're also going through because these aren't just like robots like you see from like Star Wars where like they're goofy and they look like robots. Like these are like sentient robots that they want to live. They don't want to die, and that's like their whole mission. We'll dive more into the story in a little bit, but it's just from beginning to end, the first Blade Runner just captures me and draws me in. And it's like you want to see Decker make it, but you hit a certain point in the movie too where you're just like, does he have to do this? Do these characters have to be stopped? Because when you find out what they actually want, you hit that crossroads where you're like, should I be pitying them or should I be on Decker's side? So we'll go into more of that later, but yeah, that those are my initial thoughts on it.
Okay, so well, for me, Blade Runner, the first Blade Runner is like iconic, and I remember watching it when I was like my last year in high school in preparation for 2049. It was so good because it was different from all the other sci-fi movies I watched because all the other sci-fi movies are like, oh, it's exciting, spaceships, laser guns, and this one was so very grounded in Earth, and it's very like it focuses a lot on humanity and what it means to be human, and you know, the main question I think it asks is, do these robots have a life? Like can they actually become more human than they already are, or can they become more than the programming they've been made? So it was such an interesting concept, and what I love about it, it's like it makes you ask these questions where maybe they are more human than the humans that they were created by. So that's a very nice thing that they did, and it's amazing to see that in film, and that's a really great way to incorporate it. And I think that I love the world. It looks great. The neo noir sci-fi ish world is like it's so well. Even down to the little light up umbrellas that they have. Where they're like it's glowing. That was so like. that's cool, and I love how like these little things make the world seem more vibrant and real and amazing. That's why. So yeah, those are my initial thoughts on Blade Runner. So moving on, continuing. So let's talk the characters. What do you think of the characters, Erica? Let's start with you.
I like the characters. Rick was an interesting. He seemed very like conflicted almost in that he had to kill these people, but it almost seemed like as the movie went on, he started wondering if he was on the right side. I really liked Roy, which was one of the replicants, the bleach blonde hair. I really liked him because he did a really good job of like explaining what they wanted. Do you know what I mean? Um,
Yeah, I mean, it his goal was simple, but it made sense. He didn't want to end. He didn't want to die. That was literally all he wanted was to exist. And it's
yeah,
like whenever a villain or a character just wants to exist, I love villains like that because you can feel compassion for them while still looking at some of the wrongdoings they've done and condemn them for it. So that's why I'm saying that I love is like it's that conflict, like exactly like you're saying. Should he be put down like the law says, or did he deserve a chance at a longer life?
yeah, totally. And uh, his relationship with Pris, that was interesting. Kind of at the end, it just got really weird, and they just seemed to like go a little crazy. And I liked it was really neat. I think they had interesting characters, and then Rachel, of course. I really liked Rachel, and I liked the relationship that established between Rachel and Rick. And one line that she said at the beginning when Rick was interviewing her, they were asking different emotions about like different people and different things, and one of her responses was, "Are you trying to see if I'm a replicant or a lesbian?" And I love that that came up because in a movie that was made in like 1982, saying something like that, also one thing that I got to give praise to Harrison Ford here. He was working on Blade Runner, Indiana Jones, and Star Wars at the same time that all this. Because I imagine they were working on Return of the Jedi came out in '84, so I imagine like
83.
is '83? Okay, so yeah, I imagine he was very busy, like with 3 projects. So yeah, yeah, those are the characters that I thought were really interesting, and they each had their own character traits. Pris, I don't really have as much of an opinion on. She didn't like stand out or anything, but I don't dislike
Well,
her character.
Pris used her not as much as the stripper replicant, but Pris kind of used her sexuality to like weave her way into Sebastian's life and get him to just invite her into his house. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because
Yeah.
like that, he just sees this cute homeless girl in the street, and he admitted he's lonely. He has to build his own friends, and he just invites this girl into his house, and it basically led to the downfall of basically everything for everyone.
Yeah. And speaking of Sebastian, those toys of his, that was
Yeah.
so weird. I was like, this
Weird.
guy seemed like he was insane. But I saw these toys and I'm like, what? It was really creepy. Like right when we went into his apartment, I was just like, oh, this guy is really creepy. What about you, Chad? What do you think about the characters?
Decker's basically been covered. Press, I already basically covered her. Roy, I basically did too, but to go in a little bit deeper into Roy, it's normally I'm not a big fan of prequels because I think if we already know a character's fate, we don't always have to see exactly where they came from. But I would almost want to see what did these four specifically do before they got to Earth? Because it's like we were told what they did, but we don't exactly know we only know the side of the Blade Runner unit that said what they did. So it's
Yeah.
like, were they telling the truth? Did they really slaughter the entire crew and steal the ship, or is that not the whole story? So I almost would want to see more of Roy and his team before they got back to Earth and were trying to, again, figure out just a way to live. It really intrigues me what, like that, to do the things that they did, and the whole goal is I just don't want to die. I've always just found it so conflicting and sympathetic at the same time. And I loved, and spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, the ending where Decker was about to fall off and Roy saved him and gave him that monologue before he shut down. I was just like, that was like the moment when you can tell Decker was like, these things are more human than I gave them credit for. Roy did not have to save Decker. He was trying to kill him, and he saved his life to prove a point to him. Like, I thought that was an awesome ending.
Yeah, I agree. I agree there. That's what I said. That's that ending there was what made Roy stand out more to me, and I think he is probably my favorite character in this movie.
In terms of the characters, Deckard, I think you guys have said a lot, and I like how. But I just want to say a little bit more. I like his change from like he's as he goes through this mission, he figures out that these guys are not actually all that bad. They actually can be human. And Ruger Hauer as Roy was amazing, and I love the monologue, the tears in the rain monologue was just so perfect, and it just shows that there's more to it than they were. And as for the other replicants, I didn't really wasn't really invested. I like Press a lot, and Sebastian, of course, yeah, was creepy, but uh, it was just okay. That's why I'm not really I wasn't as invested as the others in the other replicants as I was with Roy and Decker themselves.
Well, Leon was basically just the muscle, and the stripper was just person number 4. She really didn't. I mean, she really didn't add anything. She was just kind of there to. I almost feel like she was just there to just like add to. We need another replicant or something. I mean, it was interesting that of all things like that. Again, going back to the humanity of these replicants, for a machine to choose to be like that, a stripper, to hide, I thought was really interesting. And her death scene, I thought was just the way it was filmed. I thought it looked so cool with that awesome music playing over it. Yeah, her death scene I thought was really powerful.
Yeah, I was honestly I was just gonna say that whole action scene was really well done, and all the music in general was really. That's one of the reasons that I liked the movie was the music was so weird, but it totally set the vibe that it was going for, and that's definitely something to praise. And sound effects too were pretty good for the 80s. Special effects. The director was Ridley Scott.
In my opinion, this is his best film. I really love it.
Really,
What other
So
films has he
people
done?
he's done Alien, Gladiator, The Martian, Blade Runner, Prometheus, Alien Covenant.
He's done a lot.
Exodus.
He's done quite a bit. Ridley Scott is a very divisive director, I think. He either hits it out of the park or he completely fails in my eyes.
You know one part that was so gross was when Roy killed Dr. Tyrell. He put his fingers in his eyes and just like squished his face. That was disgusting. I gagged. It was ugh. That
Can
was
I
so.
just say I love the eye test. Like that's such a cool device, the where you see the fluctuations of the pupil and you can see it like yeah, that's such an awesome device.
Um,
Yeah.
Another thing that was really cool was the like computer screen thing where he zooms in on the photographs. That was
Oh,
Yeah, that was
Mm.
really cool that they were able to do that and like come up with that idea. It definitely they did a good job of making it feel futuresque. And the fact that it was set right now where we are,
Yeah. It was set. It was set last Thanksgiving.
yeah,
That's what it
that's
was, November 2019.
I can't believe that they actually thought that would be the future, because honestly, we haven't even gotten close to that.
Well, I don't care what anyone says. In 2049, we ain't gonna look like that.
Also, 2020 in general so far has been
An
yeah.
amazing year. Best year of my life so
Oh
far.
yeah, totally.
Uh, oh yeah, guys.
Great start to a new decade.
So I want to talk about Rachel a bit. What do you guys think of her? I mean, like, do you guys like her, or is it just like? I mean, like, personally, I think it was a great concept to have her as this girl who kind of is, I mean, who is submissive to the humans, but also has her own thoughts. I mean, what do you think?
I liked Rachel. At
Yeah.
first, I thought she was kind of like snobby, or I don't know if that's the right word, but then as we got to know her character more and Rick got to know her, I started liking her more. Sean Young, she did really good job. The shoulder pads, oh my god, that was the shoulder pads were crazy. That was so 80s, so 80s. Like they should have thought about what style might be like. If it didn't have the shoulder pads, that would be a little bit different.
Hmm.
The costumes were okay. I feel like they could have, again, a lot of it was 80s stuff. I feel like they could have tried to go for more different things, but it was still a lot of the costumes still had like 80s style in it. But yeah.
It's because it's all, you know, I mean, even when you try to go futuristic, it's almost like it's in almost anything when you try to emulate something that hasn't happened yet, part of your own culture is going to wind up showing up in it no matter what, because you can't fully predict what's going to happen. Like in the movie, people are smoking inside the whole time. It's 2020. People don't smoke inside anymore.
Yeah,
So it's like that's what I mean. It's the same thing. It's almost just like part of your culture, the way things are at the moment, are going to be in there, no matter what route you take. So I get what you're saying. I mean, I thought I like the outfits for the most part because you got to remember we're running around the streets of Los Angeles, so it's almost like we're not at like the height of society. We're at like the opening scene of the movie sets the tone perfectly. We're looking at this industrial dark world basically that just gives off a vibe of there's really not much happiness for the inhabitants of earth that are still there anymore. You
yeah,
know what I mean? Like you hear it constantly, you know, get off world, see space, see other planets. It's almost like it feels like a world where the only people left on earth are there because they like either stuck there or they can't afford to get off or medically they can't leave or something. It just doesn't feel like in this future that Blade Runner set up, Earth was a place you just didn't want to be there. You wanted to leave because it just was not a happy looking. Did it look happy or inviting to even be there?
Yeah, I mean, that was one thing that I noticed is there's no daylight. Trying to understand how that would actually work. Did this like the sun can't die because then the whole planet would everyone would be dead.
so much pollution that it just blocks the sun.
In 2049 they did a better job of the pollution kind of thing. Well, I have a question. Do you
We
guys
might
think
have an answer.
do you guys think that this movie aged well?
Yes.
Yes,
How so?
I think so.
Because instead of outdated effects or outdated music or an outdated story, it's a smartly written science fiction film that asks you questions about what does it actually mean to be alive and who deserves to be alive, and it's still something that to this day carries forward and you can still watch it like you just did, you know, nearly 40 years after it was created, and we're still talking about it, and we're not sitting here going, you know, like, oh, you know, you could see, oh, how silly the laser blast looked, and we're not here's how, like, we're not laughing at it, we're not picking it apart going this looked bad or this looked bad. They chose to go with a story that had minimal special effects to it. But even in my opinion, I think the minimal special effects they had still looked pretty good. Again, going back to that opening scene with the ships flying over the desolate city, I thought that still looks really good. And I genuinely still think the story massively holds up, and it will for a very long time.
And personally, I think it holds up because I mean, like you can see, like there are some sci-fi films out there that are super dated, but I don't think Blade Runner is because the effects and the music and everything, even the costumes. I mean, like I know you the costumes were iffy, but like I still think it's good. I really think that it holds up. I think it. I don't. I think the acting also holds up, and basically, I use this word sparingly, but I think it's iconic. Everything about it. I
It is.
think it's iconic in the way it was shot, in the way it was created. It's unique. It's like no one ever did this before, and no one ever will be doing it like
Think of
this.
it that here's how I look. Here's how I kind of look at it. With the, do you think it's dated? And I'm not meaning this as an insult at all. It's just an observation I've noticed. Now, when I watch the original Star Wars, you can kind of see how clunky the C3PO looks. Most of the droids look in that movie. And then you look at this one, and they chose to go with the replicants look exactly like humans, so they could avoid that. Now, in '77, when Star Wars came out, yes, R2D2, C3PO, they looked really cool. But then when you get to the prequels, you see them doing stuff that's almost more advanced than what they'd been doing in the original ones, even though they took place beforehand. So it almost makes you go, why weren't they doing that then? Like when R2D2 had his jetpacks in Attack of the Clones. They were able to do it because they had the better technology. So with Blade Runner, it was almost, let's just avoid that. And they did, aside from the flying cars. I'd say the tech they had in the movie looked it all looked good, and it was all plausible, and it wasn't something you could look at and question and be like, that doesn't make sense or it looks bad.
I agree.
Exactly, exactly. So, in my opinion, I think just to close my thoughts on the film, Blade Runner is iconic as it ever was. It feels like the effects, the world building, the actors, the characters, they all still hold up. And I think 30 years from now, in actually 2049 or 2050, since we're in 2020, it will still attract people. It will be marked as something so groundbreaking and cinematic that it will still hold up 30 years from now. So yeah, those are
Yeah.
those are my closing thoughts on the film. How about you, Erica?
My closing thoughts are that I really liked it. It was like I said, it was so weird and then I loved it. So it definitely was unique. Acting was good. It's always good to see Harrison Ford. I love Harrison Ford. And it was exciting to watch. I literally watched the 2049 one the day after or a few days after, and that was good too. So yeah. What about you, Chad?
You chat, man.
Overall, Blade Runner is a sci-fi classic, and it's going to stay a science fiction classic, I think, for all time. Even when, like you're saying, we hit 2049, people can still look back at it and be like, that's how the '80s viewed what that part of the future was going to be like, even though it'll be completely different. And I think the story is something that still holds up. It's still something that's going to be talked about for who knows how long. It's a story that can always spark some form of discussion about the ethics and the morality of what the whole point was, is what does it mean to be alive. So
Yeah,
Blade Runner to me, yeah, it's one of my favorite science fiction. Just for anyone out there who hasn't seen it, heads up, it is a bit slow at sometimes. But I genuinely think the interactions with the characters and the themes of the movie are enough to hold it up and keep anyone's interest who wants to watch it.
nice. So now we're gonna move on to, in my opinion, my personal opinion, the better movie. But that's just me. Blade Runner 2049, the sequel that came out in 2017. And Erica, you just saw this very recently, so let's get your first thoughts on it. What do you think of it?
I literally just watched it today. I really liked it. I like Ryan Gosling. He did a good job, and I liked his. At first, I didn't like him, but then when he started putting all the pieces together and started seeing the different side of it, I find I like characters who go through that growth, and I feel like I was definitely able to see that with him. The music was really good again. All the acting was good. Unique characters, like I said, and the whole plot twist at the end, I didn't see it coming until, like, right when I started realizing well, when they showed it, basically, which I think was really well done because I hate movies that basically warn you about the plot twist way too early, you know? If you wanna have a plot twist, you gotta don't hint at it, you know?
Yeah, I
And
get
I
that.
I honestly thought that he was the kid. I did, and yeah, those are my initial stuff.
Okay, how about you, Chad? Initial thoughts on Blade Runner 2049?
Yeah, definitely not better than the original. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I mean, this one had a more mainstream plot of just uncovering a mystery. But I'm sorry, I will still stand by that the plot of the original one is far deeper and had more to it, I think, with the four replicants being hunted down because this one just I mean I hate to boil it down so simply, but I mean it's just replicant works for the cops, uncovers a mystery, goes on the run, figures it out, done.
okay, well, fair enough.
And I
Yep.
mean, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a simple plot. There's really not. But I don't know. I think this is a movie. I said it to you before. I think this is a movie I can respect more than I enjoy watching. I don't know. It's just, it's not bad. It's just, it doesn't work for me on the same level that the original one did. And before anyone out there starts shouting, oh, this, you might have, you only watched 2049 once and you grew up watching the original. No, I bought them both on the same day and watched them for the very first time on the same day in 2018. So no, I I literally have the exact same like time frame of both of the movies. And normally I watch them one like right after another and it kind of stays equal. But it's just I don't know. There's just something about 2049 that just isn't on the same level as the first one. I mean, they're completely different stories. So I will definitely give Villain who credit where it's due. He did not just rehash the original, which I always appreciate when it comes to movies like this, especially that do sequels years later. Don't just do the original one over again. Do something new. There's nothing wrong with doing something different and new like this, and it's fine. It's just I think the story of the first one is better. I don't have issues with this one. I just think the first one is better still.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, like, we all have our opinions. And personally, I think, 2049 is like, what you said, they don't rehash the original. They actually use the 30 years later to an advantage.
Hmm.
I love the fact that Deckard's not really in the story until like the very, very end. Because it's awesome because you focus on this new guy. And I think Kay, personally, okay, Kay, he's a very good compelling character because basically imagine this. He uncovers this mystery out of nowhere. Like he just pulls on this thread, like, okay, there's a box beneath the tree that contains bones, right? And you find out that this girl was a replicant who's pregnant, which has never happened before. In the entire time the replicants have existed, a replicant cannot give life, right? So when Kay finds out that the supposed memories, that the supposed fake memories were actually real and that they happened to some to him, he's convinced that for the first time he actually might be human, which puts him in the myriad of emotions, and I really like that. I like the fact that Kay is way more like as he figures out that he might be human, he starts feeling these human things. And at the end, when he's not when he figures out that, oh, it's not true at all, you're not a replicant, you're not human, you're a replicant, you're the decoy. He still had that development in him, and that he became human in a way, which is what I love about it. I love that. I love that change, the transformation of like emotionless dude to like this guy who he's still a robot, but he actually felt something. He actually felt emotions. So that's my first thoughts on it. Yeah,
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. One thing that I wouldn't have minded like seeing or is how on earth Rachel got pregnant. Like,
They
cause
had sex. What do you mean?
but replicants aren't able to reproduce.
Yeah, but they also said in the first one, Rachel was special. That's why they went after her as soon as she disappeared, and she automatically became a threat because there was something about Rachel that was different than the rest of the replicants. Because remember, they made a big deal about when Deckard first met her and she left the room, he looked at Terrell and he was like, she doesn't know she is a replicant, does she? So
Yeah.
Rachel was already something special. They just didn't dive into it in the first Blade Runner.
Oh, okay. I'm putting pieces together now because Wallace, who is the new CEO of the replicant making company, the guy who played it was played by Jared Leto, he mentioned something about them having started the process, the like reproduction process for replicants, but then they lost all the technology because of this blackout that they had. So now I'm putting all that together of what was happening with Rachel. Okay. That fills the plot hole. You filled the plot hole, Chad.
That
um
is what I do.
but what you were saying, I really like Officer K or Joe. He's got two names, so you know. He went by Joe once he figured out he feels like a human. So, and I really liked Harrison Ford when he did come because he was very true to character. And were they were in Las Vegas, weren't they?
yeah, they were.
That's what I thought.
Well,
I was just
Decker was.
Real quick, that's honestly what I love about Blade Runner 2049. The director adds this like all these elements that are not explained but are mysterious, and it makes the world more vibrant. Like, what is this blackout? Like, what is this blackout that destroyed all the technology and wiped all the records? What was it? Was it some? I want to see that. And what caused Las Vegas to go into this dark, desolate, apocalyptic world? Like, why is it there's so much radiation there? I want to see that. And like the place where Deckard visits the orphanage and it's all these like garbage place dump, and why is it like that? This is stuff I want to see. I mean, like, the cinematography was amazing.
I totally agree. That whole scene when he goes into Las Vegas to go and find Rick, he that was so well done and it was so cool the way they did that. Like I wonder if they actually made the orange smoke or if they added that in. I feel like they probably added that in or it might have been a mix of both, but that whole scene looked so cool. And I liked how Rick had taken over this like fancy casino, like hotel thing. I think that was really cool. But yeah, that whole scene where he actually goes to Vegas and sees it was really cool.
For me, the cinematography, the scene where the cinematography absolutely nailed the scene was when Rick and Joy are driving, and there's awesome music, and then it's raining, and they're going to the orphanage, like and, like there's this huge fog, and it's like when I saw it in theaters, I was like, holy shit, I'm in love with this movie. so well done. I mean, like I love it. I mean, like and I love that scene also near the where Wallace is seeing this new replicant girl, and like it's just so red and sinister looking, and he wants to he has to look at this girl, and it's just so slimy, and oh, it's just like so well done.
The guy's Dylan. He was a great director. Yeah, I mean, he did a good job. He always does a good job.
I also the whole Wallace, Jared Leto was really good because that character creeped me the fuck out, and he did a good job with that of being that creepy, weird character. It was nice seeing Jared Leto again.
It was nice seeing. He was so awesome in that movie. Like he actually wore contacts that blinded him so that he can actually act out the moves like a blind man. That was so well done.
His character was blind.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
We're melting
Thought it was obvious.
device here to make him see. Right.
Oh, okay.
That's
I
so
wasn't
fun.
sure what that was. Okay. Sorry.
So, one of my favorite characters, which it's so weird almost saying that sentence because while this is a character in the film, it's not really a character, was the hologram of Joy.
Oh yes.
I mean, it's so weird to say this character because she's nothing more than lights and she's a light projection coming out and a computer program running. But there was still something about when her emanator got destroyed and you knew she was gone forever. It was like, that's the only thing that Kay really actually cared about in the world. And it was gone for good. She was done. She was never coming back. And it was just like, it was actually like sad the first time I watched it. I'm like, I feel bad for the glorified toaster watching his favorite toy get destroyed.
Oh wow, yeah. You really had to put it like that. I mean, okay.
That, you just okay. You basically just called her a toy, and I'm trying
She
to.
was a toy. What was she?
Okay, never mind.
What was it, I should say? It's not really a she, and Kay's not really a he. One's a hologram and one's a robot.
Anyways, robots and holograms can still have feelings. So speaking of that scene when Joy gets destroyed, I really like how Mariette came and rescued Kay. She showed him how there's this kind of like I don't know if it's maybe a rebellion that's trying to like get people to come in and help them show that they're real people. I really liked that. And then that woman came in and explained everything to Kay. And that moment with Ryan Gosling, he did such a good job of showing that he was actually really sad because he thought he might have like some family and people. But then he realized now that he had those people, of course he goes and dies at the end, but you know, at least it's a peaceful death. He just kind of sits in the snow and just stops. And then Rick meets Anna, which is really sweet, and I really liked that. Yeah.
I like the line that the old woman said. The dying for the right cause is the most human thing you can do. It's like that's like wow. I mean, like, and to talk more about Kay a bit. I mean, like when he discovers that he's human, or like he might be human, and that scene, the first scene with Anna, where like she's scanning the memories and says, "This was real. Someone lived this." He goes like, "God damn it!" Because like his whole life has been a lie, and he starts doing these human things. Which brings the question: if the first Blade Runner was what it means to like live, this is like in 2049. I always thought that what does it take for a replicant to be human?
They did that with Rachel, don't forget. Because
Yeah.
Rachel said she had memories, and Decker like a dick, broke it to her that he's like, those aren't your memories. There's someone else's that they just put in you. Go home. That scene when she came over to his apartment, it was like, damn, dude. And she just kind of like stood there and he's like, oh, shit, I'm sorry.
But it may also be partly because of Anna, who's making the memories for them.
Yeah,
Maybe
It was.
she really put that effort into these memories that she was giving them, and she cared. And I really love that whole room that she had. It like turned into a
Unless
forest.
I'm wrong, the memories in Kay were hers.
Yeah,
The horse that was hers, so she
yeah,
specifically put it there to hide it.
yeah. I know that, but I'm talking about like how Mariette said that she had memories too.
hmm
Uh,
That was just what also came with the advanced models, though, to make them not realize that they were replicants.
yeah.
yeah,
And can I just say that horse reveal was amazing, where he put his hand through and he came out. And the horse was like, when I first saw it, like, whoa, oh my god, it's real. He's a human. He's a human. And then eventually, when the old lady said, "We thought it was you. No, you're just a decoy." I was like, oh shit. And real quick, the scene that made me actually cry was, yeah, I actually cried in this movie, was where Kay was in the rain, and it was before the final battle, before he rescues Deckard, and he was in the final battle, and he sees Joy, but not really Joy. There's the giant blue head version of her, the giant blue head version of her, and you can tell that it was all fake. That she was programmed to do this, and that she never actually there was never actually any real love there. It was just a program, and that sucked because like it means that I can never actually have someone real to love. I was like, wow, man, that sucks. Yeah,
that scene also was beautiful. Like the CGI there with
yeah,
her. That's one of my notes that I wrote down. I was actually about to bring it up. The CGI is incredible. Like I was shocked. I was looking at it and I was like, that is such a beautiful scene. Chad,
yeah.
what did you think of the CGI character?
Warner Brothers has much better CGI than Disney does. I'm sorry. I think lots of CGI in Disney movies, like Marvel, Star Wars, they can be good, but I just don't think that they have that realistic CGI look or more refined look that Warner Brothers can give with movies like this. I think like there's just something about being in the city and the world they've built that the CGI they put in actually makes it look like this could be a plausible world people could live in.
I'll give you this. Joy looked way more real than the Emperor's Final Order fleet in Rise of Skywalker. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
We'll get into that later. But what did
Yeah.
you guys I'm curious. So, what did you guys think of that weird scene where Joy basically hires Mariette and Joy like goes into her body and there's like a love scene between them and Kay?
I love that because not because it's sexy, but because like for one, the visual effects are fake. Because like the way Joy blended Mariette, and you could see like half her face in Joy's face and half of Mariette's face is like that. That's just like that's awesome. I mean, like I really want to see that, and I
Of course you did.
oh, it's not that. It's not like that. Oh my god. See now, now it sounds weird. No, I mean like I really love seeing the way the visual effects were able to do that, and see now it's ruined.
I ruined it.
I'll add in my comment. I
Woo!
thought it was really cool that Joy wanted to do that, and I don't know. I feel like it probably meant a lot to both of them, but I would imagine it being kind of weird for Kay as well. Um, yeah, that's my feelings on it. It was odd, but I think it was a good addition, and I'm really glad that they didn't show the sex scene there because that would have been a little strange to see. Yeah.
I mean, hey, here's how I look at it. You got to do what you got to do, I guess.
What did you think of the car scene where Kay is going to free Rick. What did you think of that part?
That was great. Nice final fight.
Yeah.
Cool action scene.
I liked it too. My one thing that was sort of strange was when Kay was fighting Love and it sounded like they were growling at each other. I don't know. The sound effects were just kind of a little strange there, but literally it sounded like growling. And I don't understand how on earth Kay didn't like die from all those cuts and gunshots. I mean, obviously he did after, but I don't get how he didn't die sooner. Because he was like, everything was, he was bleeding. He got shot in the ribs with a gun. He got cut and stabbed. It's like, these people must be very good at not dying when they get hurt badly.
No, they forget they are replicants, so they do have a higher tolerance for pain.
I'll say it. Kay's death was a more dignified one than Lando's girlfriend and Solo's death.
Joy had a more dignified death than that, honestly.
Yeah.
And real quick, let's talk about Love. I think Love was a badass. I love Love. There you go.
I liked her too. I mean, I hated her, which means that she's a good villain because, well, not villain. She's the antagonist, I guess, is the word you could use.
She was the muscle.
Yeah. I hated her, which means that she was like I said, a good antagonist. And that whole part at the end when they capture Rick and she was just so cruel and then she crushed Joy and yeah, that was sad.
It was really sad when she killed the guy from The Dark Knight and Ant-Man.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, he just clung on my head like that, and then he fell. I was like,
She fucked him up.
oh yeah.
Actress who played Love is Sylvia Hoeks.
Right. Thank you for saying that. I forgot her name.
So yeah, final thoughts on Blade Runner 2049. Erica, you first.
I liked it a lot. I can't really say which one I liked better because they're so different, and it's just it. I don't want to say because I don't feel like I liked one better than the other. They were both good and interesting, and I liked the acting, and I think both of the plots were good. Like I said, the plot twist at the end was not expecting that, and that's really great because I hate plot twists where you're like totally gonna expect it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, those are my closing thoughts on Blade Runner.
2049 is a smartly written science fiction movie, like the exact opposite of shit like Rise of Skywalker. Like that's just a stupid science fiction movie. This is a smart science fiction movie where you can't just go into this and be like, where's the laser blasts? Where's the booms? Where's all the action scenes? You're not watching this for that. You're watching this for the story centered around the character of Kay. So it's like you've got to know what you're going into. This is a movie people took time to write and put together and connect to the world that we saw in the first one. And that's why I was saying at the beginning, while I do love the first Blade Runner more, I can still look at this one and I can still respect it as much as I do the original one. It's a different story than the original one. I just preferred the story they chose to tell in the first one better than 2049. But that is in no way saying 2049 is a bad movie at all.
Exactly. I mean, to me, I hate using this word really because I sparingly use it. But 2049 is a masterpiece to me, just like Avengers Endgame. Joking. No, but in all seriousness,
Jesus.
2049 is a masterpiece in my eyes. The way it was shot, the way it was acted, the way it was scored, everything was well done, and it is personally, my favorite sci-fi movie ever made. So I love this movie to death, and I can rewatch it anytime because it's just that good in my eyes. It's actually also my favorite movie of 2017.
Speaking of rewatching movies, we
Oh,
are
come on.
now going to give a little announcement for next month, and I am really excited because this is one of my favorite franchises. Next month, we are doing Wars. We're gonna cover it all. We're gonna do all 3 trilogies. We have all 3 of us have different opinions on all the different things, except the sequels. We'll get to sequels. We're also gonna do the spin-offs as well. I'm really excited for Star Wars. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys enjoy it as well. And yeah, June has been a great month, and next month will be even better. And yeah, thanks to Chad and Santino for making me watch all those scary movies.
It was great listening to you scream, cry, tell us how much you hate us, tell us F off multiple times. It was a great month of communication between friends.
I think I said I hate you like at least 20 times.
Multiple times. I want to say at least, I think you told us you hated us at least 3 or 4 times alone in the first Conjuring. That was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast on Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049. I am Santino, signing off.
This is Erica. I'm saying goodnight, and we're excited for Star Wars. Well, I'm really excited, but hopefully they are too.
This is Chad. I'm signing off, and Erica's excited for Star Wars next month.
We'll finish it off this way. In case you didn't know, Erica's really excited for Star Wars next month.
Yeah.